Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Women Issue. And let me first apologize for the delay. And now we are back for good. So I want to say thank you for joining us today. And today I will be talking about poverty in Nigeria. What are the causes? How can we eradicate it? Does it affect crime? And how can we help solving poverty? So with me today, I've got two wonderful guests. I call them my daddies. To my left hand side, I've got Chief Bimbo Folayan. Thank you for coming, sir.
Good afternoon, Funke.
Thank you, sir. And I've got Honorable Dike Adeoye Obanleowo. Thank God I pronounced it well this afternoon. Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you.
And before I go further, I'll come to Chief Robert Bimbo to introduce himself to my viewers.
My name is Bimbo Robert Folayan. I'm an IT practitioner. I also head the Nigerian Diaspora Direct Investment Summit, which is an organization that we set up to promote investments into Nigeria and to also help Nigerians in diaspora to set up their businesses. So this has been we've been doing this for the last 6 years. We've had several summits and we support people, we support Nigerians in diaspora to set up businesses so as to create jobs for Nigerians back home. I also was chairman of the Central Association of Nigerians in the UK, and I count myself to be a community leader in the UK here, and a great Nigerian too.
Thank you very much, sir. So my viewers, as you can hear, if you need support in creating your business, get in touch with me. I'll take you to the right place. Thank you very much, sir. And I'll come to my second daddy, Honorable Dike Obanleowo. Can you please introduce yourself to my viewers?
Good afternoon, lovely viewers. My name is Dikin Obanleowo of Higher Ground Christian Assembly in South London. I'm also a politician, Director of Publicity, Media and Communications, PDP Southwest here in the United Kingdom. I'm also the CEO of Diaspora Fashion House. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you so much for coming. This is the second time I'm having you on my show.
Yes.
I want to say thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me.
And this is my third time of having you. So I want to say thank you so much, sir, for coming all the time. Thank you. We appreciate you. And yeah, let's go straight to business. And today I will be talking about poverty in Nigeria. When I look at Nigeria today, it saddens my heart. My heart bleeds for Nigeria. That how do they get to this point? And at times I think, were we given independence early? I don't know if we were given independence early or not, but so many things are going in Nigeria. I believe that we have the power to control it. But when I say that we can't even control so many things, and I'm like, will Nigeria ever get better? So I'm going to come to you, sir, and I'm going to ask you, can you define poverty for us so that my viewers can know what we are talking about today?
I think poverty is when you don't have access to basic necessities of life. The three core basic necessities are food, feeding, clothing, and shelter. You're also in poverty if your outgoing is much more than your incoming. So it means that it's either you are poor or you are heading towards poverty if what you are consuming is more than what you are getting, what you are earning. Yeah. So that I will call poverty. So that's the basic, for me, that's my own definition of poverty. As long as you don't have access, you can't have access to those basic three basic things of life. That's poverty. Or if your outgoing is more than your income, you're heading towards poverty.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll come to you, sir.
The same question?
Yes, sir.
Well, poverty in simple layman terms. The English dictionary says poverty is when you're extremely poor. And when you're extremely poor, it means just what my brother just said now. You can't afford the basic things of life: food, shelter, and water. The environment that you're living is not conducive. You cannot relate with your fellow human being because you believe that most of the time you are in a lower part than them. So most of these things, which makes you look inferior compared to somebody else that you think you have equal ratings, are classed as poverty. You know, it doesn't have to be. Poverty can be maybe apart from the things that we've mentioned already.
Yeah.
It could be how you feel about yourself, what goes on within your community. Because even in some communities, you cannot pinpoint anything that showcases them to be in a community where they're progressing. You know, so around that community, around that environment, nothing is going on smoothly for them. So poverty is not something that we can just look at from an angle of an individual perception. You have to look at it holistically. And poverty, unfortunately, you know, as the name implies, poverty goes beyond human comprehension sometimes. Because when you look at poverty, sometimes some are self-inflicted by virtue of how the system is designed to operate. Some, you look at poverty from another dimension. The people don't want to help themselves to make themselves better people because they believe that is how life should be and that's the way they want to remain. So you have to look at, when we are defining poverty, you have to look at it from different perspectives. So, but poverty is when you're extremely poor and you cannot meet up to your expectations and what your heart desires really are.
Thank you very much, sir. And I'm going to ask you, Chief Bimbo, do you think Nigeria as a country we are poor?
Nigeria as a country is a very rich country.
Thank you.
Nigeria is super rich.
I have the reason why I asked that question because I have questions I want to ask.
Okay.
So I ask,
So,
as a country, do you think we are poor?
No, I would say that Nigeria is a rich country.
Yeah.
Rich in terms of natural and
Resources.
human resources.
What?
So Nigeria's got everything to be rich. Actually, you know what? Nigeria's got everything to be super rich.
Thank you.
So why we are poor, if you want me to go to that part, is
I'm
that
gonna ask you,
you will
sir.
ask that separately.
Yes.
Okay, so I would say we're a rich.
Do you agree, sir? You agree Nigeria is rich?
Without an doubt of that.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, my question is, what are the causes of poverty?
We have poor habits,
Okay.
poor attitudes. We are unable to harness all the resources that God has given to us.
Yeah.
So let's look at it let's even look at it religiously. You know, when God created every single one of us, He created us with all the opportunities, with the eyes, with the ears, with the nose, nostrils, with sense of feeling and touch. What He expects us to do, and He says, I've blessed you. So what He expected us to do was to use all of those resources to now develop something big. Then He put us in a garden where there's seed, there's fruits, everything is there. It's for us to now start to use those things to become something that makes us very comfortable. So in Nigeria, God has given us everything that we need. Unfortunately, we are very poor because, one, we've not been able to harness all the resources that God has given to us. That's one. Two, we also have poor habits. Our habits, we have habits of greed, for example, where somebody wants to take more than they can afford, or they want to take more than what belongs to them. So, and that's why we talk about corruption. So things like our laziness of, number one, we are lazy in thinking, because thinking is not just laziness in terms of not just the physical laziness. We're talking about even thinking. We can't think very well to say, what do we have to do to reorganize ourselves, reorganize our society to make things better for us? We've not been able to do that. Yeah. That's number one. Number two, poor habits in the sense that many of us also, we want to conquer the world just for ourselves and our families. And we don't care about our environment. And as long as we don't care about our environments, if I don't care about my neighbor, then I'm just going to take everything for myself. And if I take everything for myself, I'll become rich, but maybe the son of that neighbor will still be the one that will kill me eventually. Who knows? Yeah, because I've denied him of his own, maybe at some stage.
Of course.
Yeah, so that's my own way of looking at it.
Okay, sir. While I was doing my research, I think I wrote down 7 reasons why So I'm going to read out the 7 reasons, and I would like you to, to pinpoint some that you can talk about. The first thing I wrote down was changing trends in country economy.
Country.
Economy.
Yeah.
So lack of education, high divorce rates, poverty culture, illiteracy of overpopulation. Then epidemic disease such as AIDS and malaria and environmental problems. So now I want you to address the poverty culture.
Thank you for actually, because when I was doing some research as well, those are part of the things that I looked at as well.
Yeah.
And when we want to analyze poverty, we cannot analyze it without putting into context all those issues that you've just mentioned now. You see, Nigeria as a nation, I think initially when we started the program, going back to when we got independence, I don't think we actually got independence too early.
Okay.
It is just the fact that when we got independence, the people that we had to manage our resources were not people who had the vision of 100, 200 years ahead, which it works to the advantage of the so-called advanced countries now. Now, if you look back at all these issues that you've highlighted now, AIDS, high divorce rates, every other thing that you
Lack
mentioned
of education.
Yes, when you have a society that is focused, when you have leadership that is not thinking of today but tomorrow and the years ahead, all these problems are problems which did not just emanate overnight. These are problems which gradually they were a time bomb waiting to explode. When we're talking of poverty and we mention high divorce rate, yeah, in this country there's high rate of divorce as well. But what are the things that they are doing? What are the things that they are doing to sustain the economy? They have a plan and they have a policy. They have policies in place that works. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we don't have visionary leaders. When we don't have visionary leaders, it is only of significance that all these things that we've just been mentioning now will always be a major problem, because leaders should be able to think and plan ahead. That what are the things that we need to do to eradicate poverty in terms of the environment, in terms of education, in terms of bringing communities together to work together in one harmony and in one accord. What are the things we need to do to reduce level of unemployment? What are the things we need to do as leaders to make sure that we're speaking from one voice? What are the things that we need to do as leaders to make sure that people can look up to us and say, these are leaders who are not just in position, are not just in office, but they are there for a reason, and that is to achieve and to make sure that they strike a balance. And how do you strike a balance? You strike a balance by making sure that all the basic things, all the necessary things that an average Nigerian desperately craves for, which is good education, good housing, good infrastructures, health facilities, all these things are available for them at affordable and reasonable rates. If all these things are not there, if they are not visible for people to see, but they're just available only for a microscopic view to benefit those benefits, then these are the problems that we will always experience. See, so it's not just about looking at what could be the reasons. We have to look back at why are they even happening when a country like Nigeria is blessed with enormous potential in terms of manpower, in terms of skills, in terms of all the things that God has blessed us with, just like my brother said earlier. But all these things will come to nothing if you don't have the right mechanism in place, if you don't have the right people to make sure that all these things that we have at our disposal are being used and managed properly. The problem we have is we are a wasteful nation. we are a wasteful nation, and when we are wasteful, there are certain things that you will not take cognizance of because the awareness is not there. You will just be doing things because you think that that's the way things are meant to be done. So, but when you manage things, because as a leader, you must be able to manage people, you must be able to manage time, and you must be able to manage resources. All those three ingredients are very, very important for this kind of things to.
Thank you very much, sir. You have something to add, sir?
If I was going to just, first of all, I want to say that I'm a great optimist.
Yeah.
I believe that the future is Nigeria. I believe. It looks very bad. It looks terrible. But I have faith. I have hope that Nigeria is going to become better. Now it's bad at the moment, but we're moving somewhere, definitely. So, but the point I want to make is that I just want to highlight something that you said. You see, when you look at the history of Nigeria, you find that we've had various leaders. So a lot of these leaders, they always come back, they come with plans. I personally believe that we don't have leaders that want to come in just for the sake of coming. Most of them always mean well too. Along the line, for certain reasons of culture, for certain reasons of maybe indiscipline, corruption and all of that stuff, they've derailed somehow. But when you look at all the plans that they've had in the past, many of them actually had plans that were supposed to last us for several years, to develop our economy, to develop our education, to provide, for example, Awolowo, had free education in Western region. And so the problem we've had also is that there's lack of continuity. So a government comes in, and then the government that comes after it tries to wipe away all the programs of the previous government to start a new one. And because of that, we always kickstarting new ventures
all over again
in Nigeria all the time. But there's another one that is even very huge. That's the one I mentioned on my wall on Facebook about 4 weeks ago. I said, have you noticed a trend in Nigeria that when a governor is leaving, in order so that his own name continues to reign, and then is the person that successor, so that he's seen in a very bad light, guess what they do? They create problems. They employ maybe thousands of staff on their way out. So on their way out, they then promote a lot of other people. You know why they're doing that? They're creating problems for the
one that's
for the balance sheet or the one that is coming in. So these are the economic generators in Nigeria. So I call them poverty generators in Nigeria. People that just deliberately create problems in Nigeria. So that's a major one.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So that to your list.
I will. In fact, you need to. You see my notebook. While I was writing, it got to a point. I said, you know what? Now I'm tired.
Yes.
I don't want to write anymore. So, what do you think are the ways to eradicate poverty in Nigeria? I know I jotted some things down, but I'm going to come to you first. What are the ways to eradicate poverty in Nigeria? I
think to eradicate poverty in Nigeria, if I was in a powerful position to be at the helm of affairs in Nigeria, I have short and long-term solutions to eradicating poverty in Nigeria. The first one that needs to be done almost urgently is to start to promote enterprise in Nigeria. Promote
entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship, exactly. So create opportunities for people to actually own their own businesses. Now we can look at some of the projects that some governments have put in place in Nigeria, and people are running with it. Nigerians are not lazy people, Look at the time that they brought in this era of pure water. Look at the number of people selling pure water. And look at the era of SIM cards and scratch cards and all that. Look at the way people are beginning to run with those things as businesses. So if the government wants to eradicate poverty very quickly, they should create that opportunity. But the long-term solutions will be, of course, the general ones that we know that we need to make sure that our children are going to schools and they're going to learning one trade or the other. We create infrastructure is a major
skill
development. Okay, but let's look at infrastructure. For example, if there are roads and people can commute easily, if there's light and there can be 24 hours uninterrupted supply of light, and the hospitals can be functioning and people are healthy and the schools can be functioning and all that, that's something that does not show effect immediately, but they are the sort of things that produce results in about 10, 20, 30 years time. So that's what I call the long-term solutions to it, making sure that our schools are functional. I don't know whether you've heard of Mayflower College in Ikene, where the Taisholani actually made sure that any graduate of that school will fit in as a good electrician. You will be
very good.
So you'll be able to work properly and you become functional for your own community. So those are the two approach how we look at. And then also the third one is a complete war, a kind of bad war against corruption at various levels.
Thank you. I was waiting for you to mention that because the first thing I wrote in my book is fight corruption.
To fight that corruption, we will not have to limit it to leaders. We will actually go for the ordinary Nigerian. That's me.
That's so.
If I have that power, I want to fight the ordinary man who is corrupt, because we cannot be blaming those who are leading us when even we are thieves. And there's thieving in Nigeria at various levels, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yes.
The man who kidnaps any other person is a thief, is corrupt. The man who, the armed robber, is a thief. The Okada man that takes you and cheats you is a thief. So we need to fight against corruption at various levels, not just the ministers. Yes, I agree, the ministers, the commissioners, and all of that.
Those are the number one thieves.
You will never become a minister if you were not coming from the ordinary folks.
Yeah.
You look at you've seen some of the presidents we've had. They are actually not rich people. And if they turn out to be corrupt, for example, they're from the ordinary folks. So when we are fighting corruption, the EFCC is focusing mainly on the rich people now. I think we should start a program in Nigeria that tackles corruption at various levels. Yeah.
See, I'm going to come to you, sir. Yeah, I understand that you said there should be a program that tackles corruption. But the thing that's scaring me the most is the people that will be assigned on that programs that are corrupted.
My friend was...
Because there is no money that is coming out of that government that is going to another person's hand, that they won't keep half of it.
Yeah. So my friend...
Everybody's corrupted.
Let me give an example. And this is real. It's real. One of my friends was Deputy Chief Economic Advisor to a president, one of the presidents. And then he told me, he called me from Abuja, he said, he came from England to Nigeria. He said, Bimbo, he said, what I'm seeing here is serious. He said, do you know we discovered that some people were corrupt? So we set up a panel to investigate them. And then, guess what they did? Assuming they stole 4 billion naira, you know what they did? They shared the 4 billion naira with the panelists. And then when my friends in the office heard about this, they set up another panel to investigate this panel that stole the 2 billion. Guess what those people did also? They also shared it with it. So layers upon layers. So that's why I said
it's a continuous thing.
Corruption is a major issue in Nigeria. It is not just in a particular class. If we want to deal with it, it has to be wholesome. Of course, we need leaders that come out to say, I will fight corruption and I'm going to be transparent. And that's the way we can deal with it.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah. So what are the ways you think we can eradicate? He has mentioned some. I know you have something to say about that.
You see, I am going to look at it from another dimension.
Okay.
Look, you see, in Nigeria, we have 36 states.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I think from the federal level to the state levels, even to the local governments and back to the community themselves. You see, any viable government, any serious government should look at ways of encouraging devolution. You see, there must be devolution of power. Because when you are a state governor or a chairman in your community, you must have access to funds to improve the quality of lives of your people. Improvement in education, the health sector, road infrastructure, electricity, all those basic things. But if you are a governor, take for instance, in the state where I come from, Ogun State, and everything the government is focusing on is just the state capital. People need to come to Abeokuta and make sure that, yes, everything that they would always ever envisage is there. But how about the other areas? Encouragement and increasing the capacity of potential.
The need to develop rural areas.
Every aspect of the country needs to develop.
Of course, yeah.
And that is the problem we are having in Nigeria, because we have too many people who are centralized or who are marginalized one way or the other, and they're not given the opportunity to fulfill their potential. And that is why poverty will always be on the increase. Look at statistics. I think that the population of Nigeria now, I think we're about 200 million. But according to statistics now, I think we have about 86.9 million people who are living below the normal daily rate of what you would call normal standard.
Expected,
expected standard of living. Now, the government, in terms of the youths as well, there are so many youths wandering around the streets of Nigeria doing absolutely nothing. The quality of education in Nigeria is nothing to write home about. Right now, we have too many poor graduates coming out of universities with nothing to show for it. If you look at investment, how do you encourage investment? By making sure that all the banks, everybody, not just a microscopic few, have access to credit facilities. There are some people that they want to be on their own, they don't want to work for anybody, but how do they get access to, like in this country, for instance, people have access to credit unions, they have access to bank loans, they have access to there are so many means. But in major banks in Nigeria, the only people who have access to funds that can use it for business are people who have connections in banks.
Exactly.
How about the average man?
The ones that doesn't have a connection.
How about the average man in Eradicate? How about the average man in Folayan? How about the average man?
How about the farmers?
Yes.
The farmers.
There are so many people that, because Nigeria, how many people are we going to employ as civil servants?
You say, okay.
How many people are going to be medical doctors? How many people are going to be lawyers? Some people naturally they are not meant or interested in going to universities or to be a medical doctor.
Exactly what I was saying this morning.
If you're given the opportunity to flourish, they will make good use of the opportunities they have with the things they know. I always believe that in this country, you can see a plumber, you can see a carpenter, you can see an electrician who are millionaires,
of course,
who have bought their own homes, and they are doing very well. But in Nigeria, and that is why poverty is always going to be on the increase, because somebody who is a professor or a medical doctor will always assume that because you are a plumber, automatically you are beneath him.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. And that is not the way a normal person should think. No. Because every individual is different.
Seriously.
That is why in this country, the moment a child gets into school, they want to guide you and counsel you and find out what is best for you as an individual.
God bless you for that.
They want to find out whether going into university in the long run is going to be achievable.
Or learning a trade.
Going into a technical institution or what they call there's so many institutions whereby they encourage you to get involved in one form of
new trade careers, complex. We have a lot to say here.
These are the things that the government needs to be investing in. Invest in the future of the youths. The reason why poverty is so high is because we don't have visionary leaders. I mentioned that earlier. We need people who are going to come out of their shell as leaders and say, listen, we cannot allow the situation in this country to linger on like this. Our youths, they are the future of tomorrow. Our youths, they are the ones who, by the time we've gone, these are the ones
who are going to take over.
Yes, they are the ones who are going to take over. So we need to encourage this. But the key issue, the key ingredient here is devolution.
Thank you very much, sir. I was saying something to you when you came this morning that I think one of the ways that we can eradicate poverty in Nigeria is by stimulating the economy.
Yeah.
Which I believe is very, very important. And when I'm talking about stimulating the economy, that is lowering interest rates. Yeah. Because if they lower interest rates, Look at this guy that came from Russia that did MMM. He knew the weakness of Nigeria. So he came with a mission. He was on a mission, believe me. And because he knows that whatever it is, even if you want to take a loan in Nigeria, the interest rate is too high that people can't afford it. So many people that takes loan, at the end of the day, they end up selling their houses to pay for the loan simply because of the higher rates. So if they start by lowering the rates, that will help. And if there is increase in government spending, if government should increase their spending, there will be jobs for the unemployed, and which will yield income.
I would like to mention that the interest rate is market driven in Nigeria at the moment. Okay,
yes.
So and one of the reasons why it's market driven, and it's not something that can be, the interest rates cannot be lowered overnight, and I'll tell you why. There's so much illicit and illegal money flowing in the system.
Yeah.
So the vast majority of the money that is flowing within the Nigerian airspace now is fake money. They're not money that really exists. So they're like stolen money. Let's put it that way. So they are money that is supposed to go into some infrastructural development or supposed to go into some government coffers, but which has been misappropriated. So those are the kind of money. That's why you have a lot of properties that are sealed up, maybe in Abuja, because people have stolen billions of naira, and they've used them to buy all of those properties. So what you have, when you get to Abuja, you now realize that accommodation is expensive. So you're asking yourself, why is it expensive if there are so many houses that have been sealed off? They've been sealed off, and the rates of flat, for example, in Abuja, if a 3-bedroom is going for 1.5 or 2 million in an average area, and I'm talking of average area, not even a rich area, if it's for 1.5 or 2 million, and you're thinking, why? Because most of the houses on these streets are probably sealed off too. Reason is that rate which they are renting out those flats is artificial because of money that have been stolen and because of the money that's been used to put all of these houses there. So when you talk about increased government spending, so government will only be able to spend if the income can match it. But because at the moment also, if you need to look at what's the how much is the government of Nigeria making, such that they are able to spend much. Most of the states are not viable. Most of the states only wait till the end of the month to go to Abuja, collect maybe 3 billion or 5 billion, and then pay most of the money into the civil servants' salaries.
You just mentioned something earlier. You said Nigeria is a rich country.
Yes.
To me, I believe government can increase their spending. But the thing is, this money is not circulating because of all these bad politicians, all this corruption.
Okay, so he talked about devolution recently.
Yes.
So devolution that he was talking about is that rather than all of this money sitting in the federal coffers, let us spread them to the states and then to the local governments. Okay, so the system that we had, I think this government is doing something about that now. I think recently, a few days ago, or a couple of weeks ago, I heard that the government, they've put in, I don't know whether it's a bill or whatever, that we actually make sure that all the money that goes into the local government cannot be accessed by state governors.
That was
But you know that in the past, the governors own all the money for the local government. So which means that the local government chairmen don't even control all their money. And guess what they do? The Amzat is become the deputy governor of Lagos State now, but he used to be a local government chairman of Ikeja. I remember that he called a meeting in those days at, where we used to have meeting? At New Cross. In those days, during the days of Bola Walker, we used to go to one restaurant to have meeting for Nigerian affairs and all that. And we invited this same Amzat, when he was local government chairman, we invited him to that meeting. And we said to him, how come you went to Nigeria and look at, you saw the way Nigeria is and you are not performing? And we said, we gave you proposals on how to develop Lagos State. Guess what he said to us? He said, all these things that you are saying, they're not feasible in Nigeria because the money that goes to the local government, as a local government chairman, every day I wake up in the morning, there are some families lining up in front of my office. And I have to give them money. So they will come to you, they say, I live in this, there are some Babani Saleh, that's what they call them. They have to be giving money on daily basis So there's no longer money for development. So our problem is deeper than we are looking at it, because we also need a serious change of mindset in Nigeria, where we start to do things differently. If we don't do things differently, no matter what, and that time when he came, he said, look, I've just been shot in the leg. They shot him in the leg. They tried to assassinate him. And then after he came for operation, he went back, then somebody used a knife to still attack him, because he was trying to put in force some of the ideas that we're exchanging here. So the problem is deep. It's deep in the sense that any program, I personally believe, any program that we put forward in Nigeria, if we don't run those programs with change of mindset, so that Nigerians start to do things differently,
nothing is going to change. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much. So we're just going to go on a quick break and we'll be back in 2 minutes.
So the guy came and he said to us, wait, is he off now?
No. Okay, I think they're not there.
My daughter-in-law. So how are you planning for my son's birthday? No, I have to cook for her. Do you people have ogirisi there? No. It's okay. Okay, let me call you back. Mama Chijioke. Hi, so wait a market. Please pack some ogirisi. I am going to visit my son. My daughter-in-law. It's arranged. But you must use original red oil to prepare the soup. What? I'll call you back. Mama Chijo, please include Isio Morocco. My daughter-in-law. Everything is now set. But don't forget that gold wristwatch I saw the last time I visited.
Now you can talk until you tire for just 11 kobo a second. Call all networks in Nigeria and 30 international destinations, including US, UK, China, Canada, and India for just 11 kobo per second. Dial *211# to activate.
That's Silk Bobo.
The largest data network, Glow, grandmasters of data.
Ó ti yá gbogbo aláyẹyẹ pẹ̀lú ní pàtì àti ilé ìjọsìn ẹ fẹ́ ṣe polówó. Heritage TV Heritage TV wọ́n bẹ nílùú London o. Heritage TV wọ́n fọwọ́ wọn sọ̀yà o. Heritage TV.
Ẹ̀yin aráàlú London, ǹjẹ́ ẹ ti gbọ́ pé iléeṣẹ́ Heritage TV tún ti gbé àrà tuntun yọ o. Gbogbo àríyá yín pátápátá la ó máa bá yín polongo rẹ̀ jákèjádò gbogbo ayé, ká máa ṣayẹyẹ ní London, ká sì máa wò l'Amẹ́ríkà, ní Nàìjíríà àti káàkiri àgbáyé lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ àti lójú kan náà, bó jẹ́ lórí fídíò tàbí lórí photograph tó mọ́lẹ̀ yékéyéké. Heritage TV ní bàbá o. Gbogbo àwọn ayẹyẹ yín bí ọjọ́ ìbí, ìsìnkú àgbà, ìgbéyàwó, àjọ̀dún ilé ìjọsìn yín, Heritage Television ní kẹ́ ẹ máa bọ̀ tààràtà. Ìlú London la wà, United Kingdom la tẹ̀dó sí. Ẹ kàn sí wa lórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ yìí 020-800-46100 tàbí lórí ẹ̀rọ alátagbà wa ayẹyẹ@heritagetv.co.uk àti lórí ẹ̀rọ alágbèéká 0734-123-4560. Heritage TV àbálẹ̀tù ọmọdé la wó.
Meritabod Nigeria Limited, Emerald Garden City. Meritabod Nigeria Limited, Emerald Garden City.
My sister, my wife told me that you have bought a land and complete a good-looking duplex on it. Yes, from buying the plot to the completion only takes less than 3 months. What about Omonile? Omonile like how? I didn't deal with them. I bought the land from Meritabod Nigeria Limited. Meritabod? Yes, Meritabod. Rachel Onega and Prince Jide Kosoko are the ambassador for Meritabod, and these two individuals boost my confidence and trust that make me to buy from them. And that is not all. They even help me in building our new home. I only visit the site on completion to collect our keys and exchange paperwork, which amounts to more than double savings. Usually, for people like us living abroad, you have to take time off work so many times to travel back home to do the work, or the Yahoo contractors will show you big time. Yes, I was wondering, as I always see you every week. Let me tell you, I was in Nigeria for only 4 days and everything is campy EQS. I didn't lose money by not going to work. Meritabod is the best. What about the cost of calling them every day? They use UK number, so you will not be running up the phone bill to call them. I beg, give me their details. Telephone 020-3865 065-8087 or 081-734-47111. Email info@meritabode.com. Their website is www.meritabode.com. Meritabode Nigeria Limited is the developer for Emerald Garden City Estate Series. You can even pay by installments. Our locations are Shimawa, Ibejuleki, Arepo, Agbara, Ikorodu, Mowe Ofada, and Ashishi. Meritabode, build my confidence and trust.
And thank you for joining us, and we're back. In case you're just joining me, we are talking about poverty and how can we eradicate poverty in Nigeria. You said something before we went on break. You were saying something about that the average man can get a loan from the bank. That you have to have a connection before you get a loan, and which is sad but true. And you know, I said earlier on about this guy that came from Russia. Was it MMM? Yeah. I believe that guy couldn't have come alone. I believe he couldn't have come alone all the way from Russia. It's a planned work within this guy and someone or some organization in Nigeria, simply because they knows that the average people with so many into their program, like bring 50,000, come back in 1 month, we'll give you 250,000.
Are you talking of multi-level marketing?
Yes. So when that guy came, remember that guy is nowhere to be found. He's gone. How was he able to escape? So there is no way they can tell me that this guy just came all the way from Russia to do this on himself. I believe he has an accomplice that they did this in Nigeria, which is what I was still talking about. Corruption is everywhere in Nigeria. Imagine the rich ones still trying to reap the poor.
No, let me just clarify.
Simply because I didn't mean if all these people were able to go to bank and they were able to loan them money, they won't go to MMM. And I understand that Nigerians are greedy. They like quick things. And which is why people always bring things to Nigeria, quick things, and they end up ripping them off everything they have. And that has to stop, and that is because of lack of education, lack of exposure.
Let me just reiterate on one vital thing. You see, this guy that came to Nigeria with this MMM program that you just mentioned, I can just tell you that now. There's a difference between a pyramid scheme, which is a quick quick scheme, and multi-level marketing. Because multi-level marketing, which is something I've done for so long, which I have an idea of, is getting people to invest in a particular product or to give them an idea about a particular concept and building on that platform. And when you build on that platform, it gives people the opportunity to make money as well, while at the same time building that product or building that idea. That is MLM. But this guy that came from Russia, yes, quite actually, it might be right that he had some accomplices in Nigeria.
Of course, I believe so.
With the idea that, look, by the time you present your idea and start off with something trivial, maybe one ridiculous amount of money, and the promise of maybe times 3 or times 4 of that money the next month, yes, it is going to attract. And as you said, an average Nigerian, by virtue of how our economy is, and look, it is understandable when you have when you find yourself in a situation whereby to even feed your family because of high poverty level, anything that comes, any idea that anybody brings to you that will increase your capacity to make money, because let's always understand one thing. When you find yourself in a society where you are continuously being suppressed and not allowed the opportunity to flourish, either by virtue of your education or by virtue of ideas that you don't have the opportunities to develop those skills that you have, either be it a business skill, be it in any form of business or any other thing that you want to achieve. If you are not given the opportunity to develop those potentials, these are the kinds of things that will always happen. People will always come up with ideas to say, okay, look, I think if we do this, we can make money. Because don't forget, this person wants to better himself at all costs. So he is always going to be attracted or be ready to take any offer that comes his or her way at that particular point in time.
I'm quickly going to chip something in, sir. I think this MMM was 2 years ago, if I'm right.
Yeah.
Exactly 2 years ago, that the government, the federal government, provided a show, Empower.
Yeah.
But this, I mentioned something about lack of education, lack of exposure.
Yeah.
Around the time that the MMM came, that was around the time that the government created Empower. And this Empower is created for Nigerian citizens between the age of 18 to 35 years old. And they have different trades if you want to learn, even for undergraduates, even for people that live in school that are unemployed. And not just do they just provide that, they're paying a token of, I won't call it a token, 30,000 is a lot of money in Nigeria. They will give you 30,000 at the end of each month, I think for the first 3 months. But the thing is, which is why I said most Nigerians are lazy and greedy. Things like this will not circulate. Simply because they do not want to sit and learn.
Okay.
But things like the MMM, it circulated immediately, even to the point that farmers, even people that were selling peppers on the market, are putting money. And there is chance for them as well with this empowerment program to learn trade. There was a guy that went there, I heard his testimony. He went in that program, he learned a trade of how to grow rice. And now I can tell you, he has his own little company where he's growing rice, and he even has 3 people that are working for him. He said they went to this, he registered for this Empower program.
So if you look at it today in Nigeria, there are lots of success stories like this one. I daily encounter people who started small, who are doing something really, really good with their hands. A lot of Nigerian youths are actually very active at the moment. I happen to know, because I work with some of these youths, and I'm also working with some people to, put some development program in place, hopefully in the next few months. But you see, there's another, that's ongoing, and that's why I have hope for the future in Nigeria.
Because at the moment, they've created this program for 500,000 people in Nigeria, even though I know that our population is more. But that is a start.
But let me also now mention to you that that will be running side by side with the popular culture in Nigeria is get rich quick culture, which is why I talked about the mindset change that we need to have in Nigeria. Any program that any government wants to put in place, they will have to put another a kind of mind-changing kind of program to run with it. Because in Nigeria at the moment, there's extreme rich side by side extreme poverty. And you find people crossing from that extreme rich into the extreme
poverty. And
then we found people from extreme poverty moving into extreme rich.
Right.
Doing the wrong thing. You will never move from being extremely poor to being extremely rich if you are doing the right thing. It's not possible. There's no way in the world where you can be rich today and the next week you're a billionaire unless you're doing something wrong. So Nigerians have discovered that unless that's the reality. If you, and that's why you can see that those of us who live in the diaspora, we're always struggling continuously.
Of course.
We're struggling continuously because it is not possible to be overnight rich here. You have to pay the price. Whereas in Nigeria, you have friends who were very poor who suddenly became rich.
All of a sudden.
Because why? They did something wrong. Now you tell me, if you have some young people looking at somebody who is doing the right thing and is struggling, and you're looking at somebody who is doing the wrong thing and they suddenly made it, the person who did the wrong thing is sending a positive message, negative positive message to the Nigerian youth. And that's the situation in Nigeria. I told you when we were having that discussion that just this weekend I was watching YouTube, watching some Nigerian parties, and now they're spending bills of naira. So they don't spend notes anymore.
No, it's
people now have 20,000 naira they're putting on the foreheads of the celebrant or the musician. But this is standing side by side extreme poverty. So what do you expect? Those guys will go into cultism, they will go into crime, they will go into kidnapping, which will further lead to poverty in the land. So the problem is really deep. And then people like MMM will come into the system because they know that's what
take
people want.
advantage.
They take advantage of it.
You see, thank you so much, sir. I'm going to come to you, sir. Does poverty affect crime?
Of course, poverty will always affect crime. You see, because even in the United Kingdom here, when you look at some particular areas where there is high level of unemployment, in those particular areas where there is high level of employment, there is always a tendency for crime to be at an alarming rate. The same thing applies to our beloved country as well. If you look at the age of youths in Nigeria who are in meaningful employment, the percentage is probably about 5 or 10%. Even those who are working, some people are just engaged in these jobs because they always come up with this notion they have no choice. They just need to be doing, they just need to be seen to be doing something to keep body and soul together. How do you expect somebody who is on a salary of 50,000 or 60,000 a month, single, and works in Lagos Island, but has to commute from somewhere like Yanapaja every day on a salary of 60,000 naira, and travel expenses alone is about 40,000 naira, without other incentives like bank facilities, a credit card, these things that can probably allow this individual to sustain himself. So at the same time, are you trying to tell me that this person will not look at those who are doing things illegally and are making astronomical figures on a daily basis? People who most of these youths who are involved in Yahoo business and all these sorts of illicit activities. So those are the problems that we have in our country. When you have the idea that, look, what I'm doing, there is no reward for ability. Because if you are engaged in anything and you are not getting the desired satisfaction from what you are doing, there is tendency for you to be involved in other criminal activity, because your friends will want to give you the impression that, listen, we are doing better than you, even though they know that the kind of business they are doing is illegal. But they want to tell somebody who is earning 50 or 60,000 naira working in the bank that, listen, you better get your act together because you're not in my class. Somebody who is doing illegal business and can afford to live in Ikoyi is now saying somebody who is working so hard, working as if
cannot afford to live there,
that cannot afford to live there. So those are the things that increases crime, because it gets to a stage whereby the person will now have to review and look
what is doing wrong.
What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong?
In a nutshell, low income increased crime rates.
And that is the problem we have in Nigeria. You see, because in Nigeria we tend to look at other people and use them as comparisons as to why our lives are how it is presently. If you look at somebody that this person is driving a Jeep, this person is living in Lekki, or he lives in a multi-million naira house in Ajah, but they don't have a source of income to just. I'll give you an instance. There was a particular period in this country whereby the police had information at their disposal when this stop and search was so prevalent, and a lot of blacks actually felt they were being victimized because they were trying to cut down heavily on crime and trying to look at the reasons why crime was on the increase.
Crazy.
And I got to find out that, look, there is no point a policeman stops you, which is exactly what they're trying to do in Nigeria now, because I heard there's a lot of people in Nigeria who are into all sort of illicit sort of business that they are trampling heavily on now.
Yeah, like the NURTW that the governor of your state stopped.
The first thing the policeman is going to ask you here is, identify yourself and what do you do for a living? And you are driving a Mercedes-Benz 500 SL, and the policeman asked you, what are you doing for a living? And you tell him you're unemployed or you're a student.
Of course.
To look further
How were you able to afford it being a student and you're unemployed?
They are going to investigate you to find out, okay, if you're unemployed,
where did you get the money to buy that?
Yes, you can't be unemployed, but still have savings. You know why? Because there's every possibility that maybe before you got employed, maybe you've had a job before and you've been able to have some savings.
That's possible.
That's possible.
Yeah.
You know, no doubt about that. There's every possibility that, okay, you could say you're unemployed, but look, I'm unemployed or I'm a student, but my father or my mother bought this car for me. There's so many reasons, but you have to give them the reasons beyond any doubt to justify.
You are not from a rich background. You don't have a job. You've never worked and you're driving a Mercedes.
I'm just trying to give you most of the reasons why. Yes.
Yeah.
But in the event that you cannot defend how you came about buying this car, or how you've been able to gather these funds that you are able to use to get this property that you're living, then questions are bound to be raised. So, and that's the reason why crime will always be on the increase in Nigeria, because people go to parties every week in, week out,
spend
as my brother said, and looking at how people are spending money like there's no man's land. And the government needs to be doing a lot to curtail this excessiveness.
There is something I want to say, sir. Like I said in my last show, I don't support Yahoo business in any way, and I'll never support it. But let's take a look at this. Recently, the AFCs in Nigeria, they've been really very, very active, which I'm really proud of them. They're very active today. A lot of Yahoo boys that they've caught these days, and the kind of cars they're collecting from them, the kind of houses they're building, these are students unemployed. The kind of money they're funding on them, and yet I know they're putting them behind bars. But let's talk about our corrupt politicians first. I don't know if what you said this is right or wrong. These are young people. I know normally if you commit a crime, then you pay for your crime. But what about these politicians? They are not paying for their crime. Imagine the Zani still here working freely in London. And do you get where I'm trying to come? Yeah. Where I'm coming from?
I know.
These boys are being thrown behind bars. But what about the ones that we are seeing from our corrupt politicians, and yet nothing is being done about it? So do you think all these boys will stop? Even if Nigerian leaders cannot live by example, obviously they're not going to stop.
I think it's just like the case of the chicken and egg. Which one comes first? So we talk about corruption, we talk about crime.
Yeah.
So which one is creating which? You find that corruption is leading to crime, and crime is also creating corruption. So it's like we're in a kind of evil cycle. So it's the same thing that you were talking about, Nigerian politicians being very corrupt. In comparison with the Yahoo boys. Why are Nigerian youths going into cultism and becoming Yahoo guys? Don't forget that why are some people becoming kidnappers too? So it is still the same thing, that they think that the politician is stealing money, right?
Yeah.
But guess, if you look at it properly, in Nigeria today, the most popular jobs for people are either you are in politics. Okay, so I went to my state with a friend of mine several years ago, and we're asking 19-year-olds, what do you do for a living? I'm a politician. And I'm thinking, 19-year-old, what do you know about politics? So it's either you're in politics because you meet somebody who was a poor person before, and within 3-4 years, maybe he's a thug of politicians. And then he does one or two funny things, and then they allow him to go to the House of Assembly or House of Reps, and then he's building a lot of houses all over the place. What are you going to do? The younger brother will also want to do the same. So, and if they don't succeed in that, they either go into, and I'm sorry to say this, no disrespect to I'm a Christian, okay? Yeah. But they either want to become pastors too, because they believe that, and that's why also when you go to Nigeria now, while you have the genuine churches there, you have the fake pastors too, who are using all manners of tricks to collect money from people, because everybody is thinking of the what's it called now? It's called the quickest way to make money. So, or you then find.
Sorry, I'm going to quickly chip in, sir. The pastors in Nigeria today, sir.
Yes.
They are the #1 Yahoos.
No, I disagree. I'll tell you why I disagree. I disagree because you know it's just like we have medical doctors and we have quacks.
Yeah.
So we cannot say medical doctors are 419. We can't say medical doctors are quacks.
Let me say most of them.
A lot of them. I'll say a lot of them. I won't even say most of them because I've met genuine Christians, genuine pastors. So you see, bad people. Yeah, that's the truth.
The reason why I said that last 2 weeks we really shout out Nigerian, Christian university and outrageous school fees. The reason why I said that all these pastors are creating universities in Nigeria. That creating universities in Nigeria. Why didn't they help the country by building hospitals?
So a lot of them.
If they really want to help the society, if they want to help the country, why don't they by building a hospital? But they will rather buy a private jet and build university.
So which is another, if we are to start discussing that, you know that we will never finish that today. So it's still part of the problems that we're talking about in Nigeria. You know, our problem actually is that we are not going into the deep root of our problems. We're trying to cut off the weed. We're cutting off the weed from the top.
Yeah.
Until we go into the roots of why we have all of these anomalies in our system, it will be a Herculean task for us. For example, now if you go to the market, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer the cabman who cheats you, or do you prefer the conductor who cheats you, or do you prefer the pickpocket, or do you prefer the armed robber, or the kidnapper, or the... So why do we have so many prevalent cases of corruption in Nigeria at various levels? In the last 3 weeks, so many unbelievable things have happened in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Somebody cut off the hand of a young 11-year-old man. I mean, chopped it off.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's not corruption, what do we call it? See, it says a lot about the way we are now thinking. So you have a father selling their daughter, selling a 10-month-old daughter. So these are the sort of things that are going on. So you have the Yahoo people building mansions overnight. Because what they've done, it took my friend a Herculean task to be able to, uproot a Yahoo guy in one of his flats. Because this guy was coming back home in the middle of the night naked, almost every night. And then they were seeing corpses around his area. So the problem is deep. It is our level of materialism in Nigeria. Materialism is gone way, way, way beyond normal in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, sir.
Pleasure.
So I'm going to come to you before I've got 10 minutes before I round up. Who are the people at risk of poverty?
Who are the people?
At risk of poverty.
The people who are at risk of poverty is anybody who finds themselves in a position whereby they cannot afford all the basic things that we've been highlighting in the last 1 hour. So there's no, we can't really generalize or pinpoint a particular section of people. As long as you cannot afford the basic amenities of life, good food, a shelter, education, good hospital. I mean, the ability to be able to
low education level,
to be able to go into the hospital if you are ill. So all these things, these are the problems that, as we said earlier, are problems that will just not happen overnight. So everybody can fall into that category if the society or the system in which you are operating is not giving you the opportunity to develop yourself and not even develop yourself, the manpower and the resources that you need. If they're not readily available, anybody can fall into that trap that you just mentioned. So it's not only applicable to a certain level of people. The poverty can happen to anyone in Nigeria if the foundation is not there, if the right advice and the right mentality which you need to develop yourself into what you want to be, if the things that should encourage you to propagate you to what you want to achieve, if those things are missing, if those key ingredients are missing, then everybody can fall into that poverty trap.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm going to ask, do you think if there had been a development in agriculture, the poverty level that we are today wouldn't be as much as this?
Yeah, definitely. I think if we change our focus a little bit
on agriculture,
which I think is now ongoing. There's a revolution actually, which is just a little bit silent. There's a lot of people, even from the diaspora, going to Nigeria, buying acres upon acres of land, and they are doing a lot of cash crops, or even doing agricultural, doing a lot of crops. Yeah. I personally know that a lot of people are. Ogun State is encouraging it. Yeah. I think there are some states, and there's the revolution that is ongoing also, I think in some states like Kebbi, or maybe Lagos State. I'm not saying they are perfect yet. I'm just saying that there's a new movement, a new shift towards agriculture, because Nigerians now know. I personally also, I have cousins who have relocated from city to the village because they see that I have hectares of land that access to. So that may take a long time to manifest, because to get all of this into the economy is not 2 years, it's not 4 years. No. It might be about 10, 15, 20 years before we start feeling the effect. But we didn't start early enough. We didn't start early enough. I think the government needs to encourage more people now. There should be the Agricultural Development Bank, for example, should focus more attention on encouraging people who can invest their money. Personally, I had the privilege of meeting the former president, Gowon, who was the architect of NYSA. And I said to him, I said, sir, do you know that we would have reduced the level of unemployment if we had been using all our coppers in the farms, regardless of whether they are doctor or whatever. They need doctors in the farms. Yes. And I said, do you know how NYS is actually causing unemployment in Nigeria? Let me tell you, because I was in the system, I know how it works. There are some employers in Nigeria today. Every year when there's a new batch, they say we need 10 coppers. 10 coppers will work for them free. They give them allowances. So they don't pay any full salaries. They will now retain maybe 1 or 2. And then the rest will go into the job market. Then the following year, maybe there is a marketing company. They go back to NYSC, please give us 10. Do you know if NYSC says to them, no, we don't have any free people for you anymore. If you want to recruit our graduates, actually pay for them. That's it. That will reduce unemployment. So these are major areas where we can start
seasonal unemployment.
Seasonal unemployment, exactly. That's the term for it.
I want to say thank you very much, sir. And before I round up today, I'm going to come to the King Obanle Owo. I always pronounce his name wrong. I pronounce Obanle Owo. So I'm just going to give you, a minute or two just to round this up, in your own way. So
about poverty?
Yes, please.
Our government in Nigeria, now we have a new inception of government, and I think, as I said earlier, everything has to start from the top down to the bottom, which means the government, it's high time the government starts to listen to the problems which Nigerians are actually facing. And there needs to be proper check and balance if we are to eliminate poverty in our country. It is not just saying it and not doing anything to make sure that things get done, not only get done, but to be seen to be doing those things properly with check and balance, accountability. Now, to finish what I want to say, in every state in Nigeria, as I said earlier, devolution of power must circulate to every nook and corner of the 36 states in Nigeria, which means the local boy in the village or the local girl in the village up to the market, the woman in the market must have access to funds to be able to increase their capacity of doing the things which they do best. And when we do that, what we're doing is we are giving everybody a sense of belonging and a sense of purpose. And when you give everybody a sense of belonging, it helps build a state of mind to a certain level of integrity and to be able to say to themselves that, after all, the government is now listening, and that is what they will prefer. And when you give people a sense of belonging, you are telling them indirectly that we value you as citizens of that country. And when you value people as citizens, then in future you can give them the opportunity to be able to expand and improve on what they already have. Because when you open opportunities for people, those opportunities they have, they'll be able to use their opportunities to better themselves. And when they better themselves, that will reflect in their own homes, in the quality of their own lives, their children. And when they have the opportunity to educate their children will be able to flourish, go on to do better things in life. So what I would say is the federal government needs to be seen to be doing so much in terms of investment, in terms of entrepreneurship skills, and in terms of at least encouraging small-scale businesses, agriculture, and other things that we've mentioned on this program. That way, I think we'll be able to, at least, if not completely, eliminate to a reasonable extent the level of poverty in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll come to you, sir.
So, thank you, Dike Nobanlewu. He's talked to the government. Now, I will talk to us. Particularly, my constituency is the diaspora, and this is where I've lived for so long. This is also where I have been leader of the Nigerian community for almost 5 years. And I've also set up the NDDIS, that's the Nigerian Diaspora Direct Investment Summit, to encourage Nigerians in diaspora to set up businesses in Nigeria. Now, the point is, the problems will not go away. It's not possible unless each one of us, we put our hands into resolving the problem in Nigeria. And how do we do it? I've been encouraging a lot of Nigerians to go to Nigeria to set up businesses, no matter how small. If you have access to ordinary 10,000 pounds, 15,000 pounds, small money, we have a lot of pipeline of businesses, initiatives, or business processes, or even equipment that people could set up in Nigeria that will employ 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. And you know what? A lot of Nigerians are doing charity programs. A lot of them, you have so many NGOs. But you know, NGOs will never solve our problems.
Sure.
Honestly, that's the reality. Aid money cannot cure poverty. Because what you are actually doing is very good. You're solving problems. And I'm patron to about 18, can you believe this? 18 organizations in the UK that I advise. And many of them, you go back to Nigeria in December, you do Christmas food. Many go to Nigeria and they sponsor people with glasses. If they have eye problem, or they buy them equipment if they are disabled. But you see, if you set up an enterprise, something that is self-sustaining, you only put the money once and then you start to make profit. Seriously, you start to make profit. That's better for you. It's better than for you dipping your hands into your pocket every time and sending remittances to your family. Instead of sending money to your families, it's a lot better to look for something really, really small, some small business that can empower your brother or your sister or even your mom. It could be this block making machine that they put in front of your house, and your mom is actually now getting allowance to feed herself and also recruit somebody. When you do that, you're taking unemployed people off the streets. And that way, because we live in the diaspora, we live in a country that is so, everything is so organized. It's not that we're rich. We're actually struggling here. But then we have access to some little bit of funds that we can invest. It's a lot better for us when we put these sort of things into something that also produces something in Nigeria. So, and that's what I've been saying to everybody. I'm saying to them, let us do as much as we can, the little that we can, to set up something that employs even 1 or 2 people. If you build about 3, 4 flats in Nigeria, you are reducing the lack of accommodation in Nigeria. That's the reality. If you have access to your mortgage, you can remortgage, and you can take money out of it, and you have an idea or you don't have an idea of what to do, you can contact me, reach out to Funke, and then she will give you information about how you can reach us and how we can support you to, take poverty out of our streets, because it makes me so sad.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for coming today. And before I round up today, I'm just going to say that I know that we've learned 1 or 2 things, and in addition to what they've all said today, I just want everyone to know, everywhere you are watching me today, the Nigerian has recently overtaken Indian as the poverty capital in the world, which is really, really, really sad. And I just want to beg the government to please help us by improving education, skill development, promote entrepreneurship, stimulate the economy, diverse the economy, develop rural areas, create programs where they mentor the young generation, and most importantly, we're begging the government to please fight corruption. Then how can they fight corruption? In just my opinion, I believe Nigerians should go back to military government. To be honest, I'm not saying democracy government is not good, and I'm not talking about Abacha regime. No, I'm talking about the military government when they were there. Because when the military government were there before, they were able to tackle all these corrupt politicians. Because I remember back then when Buhari ordered, I remember the name of this person, he asked them to put him in a box and bring him back home. Imagine the amount of money Dezani embezzled. If it were to the military government, Dezani would not be walking in London streets freely. So the only way to fight this corruption is for Nigerians to vote back for military government to come. Like I said, in my own opinion, because these politicians, believe me, they keep stealing from our generation. These are money that were meant to, to make Nigeria a better country. We have everything to become a better country. But you know what? Our leaders are not allowing the money to spread. They're just keeping this money in one place just for their own use, for their own selfish use, and which is really, really, really bad. So we're begging the government to do a lot of things. You know what? Even there is an estimate that said that in 2050, Nigerian population will increase and the rate of poverty is expected to increase. So I just say 2050, so which means we have 30 years before 2050, and within that 30 years I believe a lot can be achieved. So please, I'm begging the Nigerian government to do something. Not everyone in Nigeria has the privilege of traveling abroad. Not everyone has of taking their family to come here. But we are begging for the ones that are there. Even we that we are here, we're not going to die in diaspora. We're still going to go back home one day. And if the country is not good, believe me, no one are going to come. I'm not going to take my daughter to go back to Nigeria and live there when I know the situation of the country. So please, we are begging the Nigerian government to do something about this. It's tiring, and the rate of crime these days, simply because of corruption, simply because we don't have a better government, we don't have a better country. Please, we need all of this to stop. A lot of lives are gone based on corruption, based on because the money are not spreading, the money is not circulating. That is why you see people kidnapping people. You see a fellow human selling his friend, a fellow human selling one another. Why? Because there's no money in the town, there's no money in Nigeria. But there is nothing like there's no money. We have money. But our leaders are not letting the money to circulate. The money is not circulating. So please and please do something. I know governments have provided this empowerment program for 500,000 people, but please, we beg you to please increase that amount of people. The 500,000 is not enough out of 200 million, but I'm still going to applaud you for that. I'm still going to say thank you for that. And we pray to God to give Nigerians the strength to do more and the strength to develop to be in a better country. Believe me, Nigeria is a very, very sweet country. Nigeria is a rich country. It's still our father's land, whether we like it or not. And I want to say thank you for joining me today. I will be back same time next week. Thank you. God bless you. Bye for now.
Ó ti yá gbogbo aláyẹyẹ pẹ̀lú ní pátì àti ilé ìjọsìn ẹ fẹ́ ṣe polówó Heritage TV Heritage TV wọ́n bẹ nílùú London o Heritage TV wọ́n fọwọ́ wọn sọ̀yà o Heritage TV.
ẹ̀yin aráàlú London ǹjẹ́ ẹ ti gbọ́ pé iléeṣẹ́ Eradicate TV tún ti gbé àrà tuntun yọ o gbogbo àríyá yín pátápátá la ó máa bá yín polongo rẹ̀ jákèjádò gbogbo ayé ká máa ṣayẹyẹ ní London ká sì máa wò l'Amẹ́ríkà ní Nàìjíríà àti káàkiri àgbáyé lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ àti lójú kan náà bó jẹ́ lórí fídíò tàbí lórí photograph tó mọ́lẹ̀ yékéyéké Eradicate TV ní bàbá o gbogbo àwọn ayẹyẹ yín bí ọjọ́ ìbí ìsìnkú àgbà ìgbéyàwó àjọ̀dún ilé ìjọsìn yín Eradicate television ní kẹ́ ẹ máa bọ̀ tààràtà ìlú London la wà United Kingdom la tẹ̀dó sí ẹ kàn sí wa lórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ yìí 020-800-46100 tàbí lórí ẹ̀rọ alátagbà wa ayẹyẹ@heritagetv.co.uk àti lórí ẹ̀rọ alágbèéká 0734-123-4560 Eradicate TV abalẹ́tù ọmọdé làwó.
Meritabod Nigeria Limited Emerald Garden City Meritabod Nigeria Limited Emerald Garden City.
Moses, Dad, my wife told me that you have bought a land and complete a good-looking duplex on it. Yes, from buying the plot to the completion only takes less than 3 months. What about Omonile? Omonile like how? I didn't deal with them. I bought the land from Meritabod Nigeria Limited. Meritabod? Yes, Meritabod. Rachel Onega and Prince Jide Kosoko are the ambassador for Meritabod, and these two individuals boost my confidence and trust that make me to buy from them. And that is not all. They even help me in building our new home. I only visit the site on completion to collect our keys and exchange paperwork, which amounts to more than double savings. Usually, for people like us living abroad, you have to take time off work so many times to travel back home to do the work, or the Yahoo contractors will show you big time. Yes, I was wondering, as I always see you every week. Let me tell you, I was in Nigeria for only 4 days and everything is campy EQS. I didn't lose money by not going to work. Meritabod is the best. What about the cost of calling them every day? They use UK number, so you will not be running up the phone bill to call them. I beg, give me their details. Telephone 020-3865-8087 or 081-734-47111. Email info@meritabod.com. Their website is www.meritabod.com. Meritabod Nigeria Limited is the developer for Emerald Garden City Estate Series. You can even pay by installments. Our locations are Shimawa, Ibejuleki, Arepo, Agbara, Ikorodu, Mowe Ofada, and Asheshe. Meritabod, build my confidence and trust.